Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It's Friday, August 22nd, 2014, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here's tonight's top stories.
Tonight, top researchers prove that airport scanners are useless. And security analysts agree that ISIS could already be in the U.S. That's next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
The Council on Foreign Relations last year had the headline, "Why We Need Al-Qaeda," and they should give them air support to take over the country and we'll remove them later. Bull.
For tonight's top story, we take a look at ISIS. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel was speaking with reporters at the Pentagon about the severity of the threat posed by ISIS.
They're beyond just a terrorist group. They marry ideology, a sophistication of strategic and tactical military prowess. They are tremendously well funded. Oh, this is beyond anything that we've seen. So we must prepare for everything. And the only way you do that is you take a cold, steely, hard look at it and get ready.
Hagel spoke as the United States continued firing on Islamic State targets in Iraq. In the past 2 weeks, U.S. drones and fighter jets have conducted 89 airstrikes against militant targets there. So far, the president has limited his renewed military campaign to just protecting American diplomats and civilians under direct threat. But U.S. officials say they haven't ruled out escalating military action against Islamic State, which has increased their threats toward the United States. Top U.S. General Martin Dempsey said IS is apocalyptic and eventually they will have to be defeated. And when asked the question if they could be defeated without entering Iraq, he said the answer is no. So again here, as we've reported, all of this is a motive to get into Syria. They want an invasion in Syria. They wanted to destabilize that region. So now they're going to be exploiting the support of the American people to do just that. They say they are considering limited airstrikes in Syria, but no decision has been made as of yet. So again, they're going to exploit the support of the American public using lies and propaganda to set the stage for an invasion in Syria. So much like we saw with the invasion in Iraq. And the media is just going to go along. And in fact, the corporate media is playing dumb about how the spread of radical Islam took place. NBC News reports today they're pondering why the UK is a breeding ground for jihadis. And they cite a number of Britons who have joined IS, and they say intelligence officials in the West are alarmed at how easily Europeans can travel into Syria through Turkey. But as Kurt Nimmo points out in this article, NATO and the United States have used Turkey and Jordan as a staging area for the proxy war against the Assad regime in Syria for months. And for example, PBS aired a Frontline segment on American handlers in Turkey and how they were working with Qatar to train rebels, how best to engage in war crimes, and how to finish off soldiers still alive after an ambush. So here PBS is basically showing how we are training and arming the rebels who have, of course, now defected to IS. Now, InfoWars.com has repeatedly provided factual information on how the U.S., NATO, Turkey, and the Gulf Emirates have not only supported the proxy war, but have also covertly funded and trained ISIS. Now, you can see the links to a lot of those articles there in this article up on InfoWars.com. And we've also got articles on how British intelligence nurtured jihadists for years. But again, the facts are going to be ignored, just like they were ignored during the invasion of Iraq more than a decade ago. And the media is just going to play along, do their part. And the Obama administration and their counterparts in Europe are going to elevate the threat of ISIS, until they can get their full-fledged attack in Syria. That's the plan. Now, you'll recall earlier this year, Obama dismissed ISIS, and he said that just because a JV team puts on a Lakers uniform, it doesn't make them Kobe Bryant. Well, now he is under fire for underestimating IS and being slow to react, and now they've gained such strength. Republicans are bluntly calling for the Obama administration to consider expanding the military campaign and broadening the airstrike mission. No calls for troops on the ground just yet. And Democrat Dianne Feinstein said It takes an army to defeat an army, and I believe that we either confront now or will be forced to deal with an even stronger enemy in the future. Inaction is no longer an option. So this is something that's obviously a real threat, and when we have people on both sides, both parties calling for war and intervention, something big is about to go down. Now, establishment Republican Senator Jim Inhofe gave this warning.
We're in the most dangerous position we've ever been in as a nation. They're crazy out there, and they are rapidly developing a method of blowing up a major U.S. city, and people just can't believe that's happening.
Inhofe told the station that the threat is significant, and he blamed it on the cuts to defense spending by the Obama administration. Inhofe said the problem is the president. He says all these things, and he never does them. And he said ISIS members are really bad terrorists. They're so bad that Al-Qaeda is afraid of them. WorldNet Daily also reports that military experts are warning the Obama administration's $1 trillion cut in defense spending will put U.S. military forces at a serious technological disadvantage in future conflicts. This comes at a time when Russia and communist China are increasing their defense spending for technological development. This technology includes robotics for specialized combat duties, development of next-generation navigation and reconnaissance systems, unmanned mini-submarines, and faster helicopters. But this isn't about increasing the defense spending and protecting this nation and doing what they said when they took that oath to protect this nation. Just look at our border. It's not about keeping us safe. Now, a former CIA officer said Thursday that he has no doubt that Islamic State already has sleeper cells within the U.S. And one ISIS fighter has already hinted as much. In several telephone conversations with a Reuters reporter over the past few months, Islamic State fighters have suggested that their leader is planning something for the West. The fighter taunted, saying, "The West are idiots and fools. They think that we are waiting for them to give us visas to go and attack them, or that we will attack with our beards or even Islamic outfits. They infiltrated us with those who pretend to be Muslims, and we have also penetrated them with those who look like them." So they are basically letting us know that they have people within the country on U.S. soil who look just like you and I. We don't know where this threat is going to happen, when these sleeper cells are going to rise. Now, Joshua Katz is an Army veteran and former CIA operations officer, and he said it's very, very true that ISIS may have crossed the southern border. And this was in response to Texas Governor Rick Perry's comments earlier this week, who also said it's a very real possibility that ISIS may have crossed the border.
ISIS is a group that will do whatever it takes in order to accomplish its goals. It's very brutal. It's very aggressive. They're going to do anything. And if that means working with cartels, if that means working with other illicit groups in order to attack the homeland, they will do that.
So that sounds like a very real threat. Not only is ISIS crossing the border, but they're working with the drug cartels to get them this way. That sounds like an absolute terror. We should be sending all of that excess military surplus vehicles to the border to protect this nation, but instead we're sending them into the interior to go ahead and police we the people. Same as with the TSA. You know, we really should be ramping up security there, but again, that contrived security theater is just to convince we the people that living under the thumb of tyranny is excellent. Here, the TSA admits illegals are allowed to fly without ID. Now, last month, it emerged that the TSA was allowing undocumented immigrants to fly without ID. They could just show their notice to appear. But despite numerous TSA denials that this was the case, the Border Patrol Council confirmed that the TSA had said they reversed their policy in the aftermath of the story going public. Now, the TSA, they continue to insist, oh, there was no policy. We weren't allowing people to board airlines without ID, and they just continued to deny. But despite repeatedly insisting that it wasn't allowing illegals to fly without ID, the TSA admits in a letter on August 7th that a notice to appear form alone is sufficient documentation for an individual to board an airliner. From the letter, it says if a passenger can only present a Form I-862, TSA will attempt to establish the passenger's identity through DHS partner components. This would be Customs and Border Protection and ICE. Now, if those DHS components are able to provide corroborating information, such as that the I-862 was issued to an individual with that name provided, the passenger is permitted into the screening checkpoint to undergo screening. So the agent on the line says, yes, I did issue an I-862 to a person with that name. This is not a secure form of ID because the name on the form is whatever name the illegal alien decides to give the border authority at the time of apprehension. There is no corroborating ID. And not only that, but once they get this notice to appear, they can give it to whomever they wish, any terrorists that are working with the drug cartels, who can then take this notice to appear and fly to any city that the TSA will just allow them to, because you know, it doesn't take an ID to get online unless you are an American. I feel very safe. I don't know about you, with this police state surrounding me, protecting my First Amendment rights and all that. But not only that, research has now definitively confirmed that the TSA body scanners are, in fact, useless. Now, we've been reporting on this for years, but now researchers with 3 of the nation's top universities have concluded that TSA body scanners can be easily defeated by anyone with a modicum of know-how. This confirms what we've been reporting. The machines are useless. So in essence, the machines, which are supposed to detect weapons, can be fooled by anyone hiding a weapon on the side of his or her body. This will render it invisible against the scan's black background. Now, there are also other ways to thwart the machines. It's listed inside this article. But these findings corroborate what engineer John Corbett discovered for himself in 2012. He was able to get some metal through the TSA scanners. And we've had Corbett on the show before, and he provided bombshell information that even the TSA admits that they are a useless agency and there wasn't actually a terror threat. So cue the threat from ISIS. So now they tell us that there is a new threat. It's ISIS, and that we should be very worried about ISIS sleeper cells in the U.S. But we don't have to worry about the TSA bumbling one of their terror attacks because they're just going through the border. They're not even using the TSA. You would think that the TSA would do away with these useless body scanners, but alas, the TSA is seeking a new generation of more powerful body scanners, so you can have even more radiation and cancer and potential hits to your fertility. Wonderful. So as this country is witnessing a police state building up around us, a new bill has been introduced in Congress that is going to ban private citizens from owning body armor. That's right. Well, we've got all this terror and all these threats to us. They want us to not be able to protect ourselves, take our guns, and now we can't even have body armor. The driving force behind the bill is Democrat Mike Honda from California. He says access to military-grade body armor emboldens criminals and mass shooters to act. And Honda wants to make possession of body armor a criminal offense with a penalty of up to 10 years in prison. Jakari Jackson has more.
A bill making its way through the House would ban the sale, transfer, or possession of military-level body armor. Which is to say, if H.R. 5344 is passed, outside of some grandfathering, the ordinary citizen would be banned from owning it. You have Mike Honda from California to thank for this. The bill includes helmets or shields with a ballistic resistance of Type 3 armor. Would you buy your son the cheapest papier-mâché football helmet on the shelf? No, you want something that would actually protect him. The same with body armor. But the naysayers will undoubtedly point to this clip.
Officers find themselves against a fully automatic modified AK-47 with armored piercing bullets. 2 bank robbers wearing body armor unleash a barrage of ammunition unlike anything police have ever dealt with.
Wearing heavy body armor, so he's not knocking down at all.
As horrible as that situation was, and it was indeed horrible, that was when departments were armed with shotguns and pistols. Even the smallest departments now have rifles and heavy armor. Let me be clear about this though, those armaments should not be all-purpose, such as menacing peaceful protesters. But if such a shooting was to occur again, police are now well equipped